Back in the room where it happens, the room where it happens. That's what I'll be getting into today. My nerdy review of the Broadway production of Hamilton. What's good people? Welcome back to the channel here on Crew Boy Productions. I'm your host, BK, on the podcast, the Silly Nerdy and Wordy Podcast, as this is episode 118. My nerdy review of this Broadway production of Hamilton, this June 6th, 2026 performance at the Durham Performing Arts Center here at DPAC in Durham, North Carolina. I hope all of you are doing very well. This was my third or fourth time seeing this show, but it's going to be my first time talking about it the way I do. This performance on this June 6th was choreographed by Andy Blankenbuehler. The director was Thomas Kail for this performance, and the conductor in this performance and the piano player also is Emmanuel Schwartzman. So overall, I enjoyed the show. The show was great, of course. It's a worldwide phenomenon, and it's always great to see it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Got to see it with a family member that got to see it for the first time. And so that is always awesome. Now, I'm going to get into just my thoughts on this show, it's more likely from a technical aspect, but it was just great performances all around. And particularly in a show like this, what it takes, because it's so much of the rhyming, the hip hop, the rapping, and then the singing going back and forth in between that with some dialogue when you're not singing, when you're not rhyming. There's chunks of that. But in terms of what it takes to do this, I guess the casting for this, you have to be a great vocalist, a great singer, but also be able to do the rhyming, the lyricist part, and have the confidence to be able to do that. And then just going back and forth in between this. So I imagine the casting process for this is very long and lengthy, and all of these people in this show, both on stage and backstage, are very talented people. So just wanted to point that out, but enjoyed the show. And one thing I noticed that I want to get into is during my shot, and this theater that I go to quite frequently, the stage is a part of the stage rotates, and they use that in many different Broadway productions. It was used in this show as well. And not only do the actors, having to learn their lines and learn blocking, the singing, and with this show, the rapping, but also during the song My Shot, the stage was rotating. So having to do what all they have to do, but also having the stage, a part of the stage, rotate in a circular motion, in a 360-degree motion, round and round, having the actors having to have that extra element to concentrate there. Very impressive, and just enjoyed that. And of course, My Shot is, of course, a great song. A lot of us know it and have heard it many times. I definitely enjoyed it. And then one of the other things that I enjoyed, and I'm just going to jump all over the place, but during one of the duels that happened, there was a part in the production, in the play, where the song everything gets rewind. You go back and forth. And then there's a moment where you freeze and you stop. And then Hamilton is doing some dialogue and some singing. And everyone has to hold their positions. And they're in different stages in terms of where they are. Some are standing, some are on the ground, some are on a knee. And then particularly there was a woman on stage. Her character, she was actually holding the bullet, kind of stretching her arm out as she was doing that. And then also there was another guy that was on the ground doing a crunch, I would say, where he's extending his arms and extending his legs, doing the crunch where you would be touching your toes back and forth. But he was holding that where, I guess, like the feet were here and the arms were here, and you just kind of hold that position for about 45 seconds or so to a minute while the Alexander Hamilton actor was doing the dialogue, and everybody had to hold their positions. And then once that was over, they had to immediately, quickly move to their next positions. So I just noticed that that was very interesting and very difficult. A lot of core work comes into play in terms of them being fit to be able to hold that. And everybody has to hold it, because if one person is off, it doesn't look good. So well done by everyone there. That was very noticeable to me. In terms of performance-wise, I enjoyed a lot of the performances, but the one that stood out to me was in this performance that I saw where I was at was the George Washington actor, his performance, what he was doing both in the first act and the second act. He had such a presence to him. And his name, that person that portrayed the George Washington in this performance, his name is A.D. Weaver. He was awesome in this performance and what he was doing with his rhyming in terms of him being a lyricist in the beginning, and then his vocals came into play in the second act, and it was even more great. Especially the last song he sang. One of the last songs he sang, he held the note out. It was so good in what he was doing, the choices, what he was doing, the tone and the texture of his voice, and just such a presence whenever his time came to speak, time to rhyme, time to sing. So shout out to you, A.D. Weaver. Excellent job in this performance that I saw on June 6, 2026. Really enjoyed it. And then also the King George III actor, that character, of course, he comes in a couple of times with his crown and everything. We all get a good laugh when that character comes in. But this actor that portrayed it was Matt Bittner. And he made some great choices, different from the original cast and previous performances, which you have to do because you can't do the same thing that previous people do. So I enjoyed what he did. Where we were sitting, we were able to see his facial expression. So he did a great job in blending the comedy as well as his vocals, his movements, all of that together, making us laugh, but also having the vocal performance with that. And then there was a point in the show where he was on stage one more time, but he wasn't saying anything, but but the other actors were interacting with him, which was, I feel like it was different, or maybe because I haven't seen the show in a while, but that was pretty cool as well. So I enjoyed the choices that he did. One other thing that was noticeable, which is normal in Broadway, and that is for one actor to play multiple roles. And in this particular production of Hamilton, which many of you who have seen the show, you probably already know it. Maybe casual people maybe don't pay attention to it too much, but you probably have seen it. But in this production, there are 5 characters, 5 people that play multiple roles in this production. 4 of them play 2 different roles, but there was one person that played 3 roles. He had 3 characters to play in this Broadway production, and I want to shout him out, and as well as 2 others. But the actor that portrayed 3 roles, his name is Austin Henderson. Austin Henderson. He portrayed Philip Schuyler. Philip Schuyler is the father of the 3 Schuyler sisters. And then he portrayed James Reynolds. And of course, James Reynolds is the husband of Maria Reynolds, which is the character that Alexander Hamilton has the affair with, that is covered up, and then he eventually tells everyone. That is who that character is. And he also played the doctor in this production. So he had 3 roles to play. And then 2 of the other actors that I want to point out that had multiple roles were Nadia Hassan, who played Peggy Schuyler, and Maria Reynolds, which is the character that Alexander Hamilton had the affair with. And then also another person that is very noticeable that everybody knows, this actor was Christian Magby. He portrayed the Lafayette character, the person from France. And then, of course, Thomas Jefferson, he comes in Act Two. So he portrayed two characters. But again, five people had multiple roles. Four of them had two roles to play. And then one person had three roles to play. So a lot of prep for those actors to do. You're preparing two sets of line, perhaps two sets of blocking. And depending on the role, and just generally speaking, you may have different sets of choreography or movement. So hats off to all five of them for doing that. Well done for that. I just wanted to point it out. I know many people really talk about that sort of thing when it comes to Broadway. Another thing I want to get into this show that I enjoyed and that I thought was just a well done thing was the sound design, of course, with all the boom and the kind of the guns and everything that's happening in stage as we're watching and listening to it. The sound design, which was done by Nevin Steinberg, and the whole sound team controlling the board and everything in this production. I enjoyed it. But the thing I want to point out about the sound is the portion in this production where they are in a session where they're debating and they have to have the hand microphone. And so the sound design, I believe, is very, very important because you have to remember that they are doing this in front of a live audience. Like anything you say, we are there, we see what you're doing. Technical things as well. The thing I want to point out is everybody that has lines, they are using wireless mics that you see the end, kind of like if you're in a call center, you see the mic there, but there's nothing on the head, and then you see the stuff is behind them and their wardrobe is covering it. But the people like George Washington and Hamilton, they have their wireless mics, and then at different points, they are handed the wireless microphone. So what I'm pointing out is at one point they are using the wireless microphone as they're making their points, but they have to not have their wireless mic working. And so to not have that interference happening between the wireless mic and the hand mic is very important. You don't want to have that happen as you're doing this show live in front of hundreds, maybe thousands of people. It's just very important. So just wanted to shout out the sound design person, Nevin Steinberg, and the whole sound department, those that were controlling the boards during this particular show for the multiple people that had to hold and use their hand microphone and then go back to their wireless microphone. Having to do that and going back and forth with that is very important, and not having that interference or annoying static happening while people are sitting in the audience watching it. You don't want to have those sort of issues happen. So it's a very important thing, and a thing that I noticed is wanted to talk about in terms of the sound design with this show. And then also with the lighting was well done. I like the choices that were made. The lighting design is by Hal Binkley and an entire lighting team. Two things I wanted to point out. One, there was a point in the show where the ensemble cast was standing in a straight line, and they're all wearing a kind of a yellow goldish wardrobe, and then the lights are bright on them. I think it's more so at the top of the show. I like that, but particularly in the finale, as that song is coming to the end, and that song is a ballad, it is a tender song that ends the show. The song comes to an end. The lights also they are dimming down and matching the tone of the song and the vocalist, and then eventually the lights turn off. But the timing of the lights and how that went with the song and the instruments, all in coordination, I really enjoyed how that was done. So I just wanted to talk about that because that was really, really good how the show ended with the lights and the song and the instruments all in coordination together at once, simultaneously. So I really, really enjoyed that. But those were the technical things I wanted to get into. Well, mainly about this show, but I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the songs. I enjoyed the vocals, of course, the harmonies, the rhyming and the hip hop, some of the chunks of dialogue that we got, of course, the comedy that we got throughout the show with King Charles as he came in and what he did. It's just always a great show to see, of course, the story of how everything goes with this. I didn't really want to get into the story of Hamilton. This is, I guess, more obviously a technical focused episode, but it's still within the story of the Hamilton production, which is just excellent. I highly recommend that you go see it if you ever get a chance to go see it in your town. It is an awesome show. It's one of my favorites that I have seen, and I look forward to seeing it again the next time I get a chance to see it. But I think that is all I'm going to have to say about this Hamilton production. However, I do have a nerdy note, and that nerdy note is about The Greatest Showman. Now, a couple months ago, I want to say about 8 or so months ago, I had a short about The Greatest Showman when I received the email from Disney on Broadway that the movie is being turned into a Broadway production and that it was going to be premiering in the spring of 2026 in London at the Bristol Hippodrome. Now, I've just saw some bit of information that they just ended their run in London. The show ran in London Hippodrome from March 15th, 2026 to May 10th, 2026. So it's recently just ended their run in London. So that's a good sign. So now we just wait for the continued development. And of course, it will hopefully make its way over here to the United States for us to see this Greatest Showman Broadway production here in the United States. So that's a good sign that they've had their run in London, and now we just wait and see when is it going to eventually come to the United States. Maybe in 27, maybe in 28, who knows? But excited that they have finished their run of performances in London, so that's exciting. But that is the nerdy note that I wanted to talk about. Of course, I have plenty of Broadway episodes where I've seen Harry Potter Cursed Child show. I have an episode in shorts on that. Les Miserables. Of course, I have an episode on The Sound of Music, MJ the Musical from a 2023 performance that was audio only. So you can check those episodes out. I'll link that in the description. I have a playlist of all the different Broadway shows that I've seen. And of course, the recent show that I've seen prior to this Hamilton production was the Hell's Kitchen performance, which was excellent. Thoroughly enjoyed it, which is doing their national tour right now in many different states. I think the last I saw, they were in Denver. So check them out if you get a chance to see Alicia Keys' music come to life in different ways. But I think that is all I have for now on this episode. If you like these types of things, subscribe to the channel here on Crewboy Productions. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Of course, you can follow the podcast, the Silly Nerdy and Wordy Podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Just search for that and hit the subscribe button or hit the follow button so you'll get each and every episode or short. And of course, I am on TikTok at Nerdy Podcaster 124 for the shorts and standalone shorts as well. So I hope all of you guys have good vibes for the rest of your day. And until next time, we will talk soon. Hello there. You stayed to the end. Thank you so much for watching and listening. If you like these type of nerdy breakdowns in movies and live Broadway, TV coverage, and industry insights, hit the subscribe button here on YouTube and subscribe to the Silly Nerdy and Wordy Podcasts wherever you get your podcasts. Just hit the subscribe button. And you can also follow me on TikTok at NerdyPodcaster124. Just hit the follow button. It's free. And again, thank you so much for watching and listening. And I'll see you in the next one.